He revolutionized the art of batting. He was the first to bring cricket to a mass audience. He was generous of spirit and often controversial. Already a giant of the game before his first test match, Dr. William Gilbert Grace is one of ESPN's legends of cricket. In July 1923, the Grace Gates were erected at the members' entrance to Lord's as a tribute to cricket's first truly great player, W.G. Grace.
When you walk into Lord's and you've got, the Grace Gates there, that tells you about the history of W.G. Grace for me. We see very old film of him playing. It's, the game moves on. His record was a great record for England. The age he was playing cricket as well for England. And that is it for me. The history of his name is forever, synonymous with English cricket.
Anyone who stands out as much as W.G. did against a lot of other players who are regarded as very good. You pull some of those other players out and say, oh gosh, he was a great player, that fellow there. W.G. was twice as good. So that's the benchmark.
He was, if you like, the father figure of cricket. He was really, he was the first superstar of the game.
The first man to score 100 first-class hundreds, apart from anything else, but he was also the first man who really broke the mould for Victorian cricketers. Quite apart from the fact he was the most recognisable cricketer of all time. That probably still stands now, even in this era when every big player is splashed across billboards all over the place. But he, with his beard, he was the second most recognisable man in Victorian England after Gladstone. Only Queen Victoria possibly had a bigger profile than either of them.
The significance of Grace is that he made cricket into a popular game because he was the #1 and the first, and remains to most of us, I think, the greatest hero in the story of cricket.
The theory and practice of modern batting owe much to Grace's thinking and working on the game.
He was the first person to really apply technique to the art of batting. I think he, probably the first man in cricket history to really think about batting.
He was very much a thinker on the game and credited with the introduction of the back foot technique and the front foot technique and having the bat relatively close to the pad. Grace was very much the man who was regarded as bringing in those nuances of technique. I suppose if you were going to have a coaching manual written in the late 1800s or the early 1900s, it would be W.G. Grace who would be the man who would write it.
Grace was also a skillful bowler.
Grace was an outstanding bowler. He was one of the best bowlers of his time and took an enormous number of wickets, but that more reflected the amount of cricket that he played. But a very crafty bowler and a bowler who by all accounts would do anything to get a wicket.
Obviously a great character, a huge man, imposed himself upon the people who played the game, and obviously was the foundation of cricket.
Grace was strong and athletic, standing tall at the crease. He was neither a stylist nor a slogger.
The first great batsman who timed the ball beautifully, was perfectly balanced so that when he hit the ball, he hit it for 4 without having to slog, and played very straight, played within the V, was a very intelligent cricketer.
His very physical appearance was so imposing, 6'2", the beard. He was once actually quite a slim man. He was one of the champion athletes of England. He's visualised normally as a very plump and self-willed man, but the self-will was part of W.G. It made him the champion he was.
I've actually played cricket with people who played with W.G. Grace, and he was special. I mean, they were only young fellows when he was in his dotage, and with his great big... You've got to remember, in his youth, he was a runner. a pretty decent athlete. I mean, we're talking about somebody a bit special here.
I think Grace is really the preeminent cricketer of all time, because he, it was said that they called him the champion, that the champion made modern cricket. He took all the skills and synthesised them into sort of one whole and became the first complete cricketer. I don't think anyone's been more influential on cricket than Grace. A great cricketer and a great advertisement for the game.